You may have heard the music from Mozart's famous Requiem, but do you know the dark legend surrounding the piece's creation? Mozart's Requiem, written in 1791, was the last piece he wrote before he died. It's also one of his most well-known pieces, and like any famous piece of music, it has a legend. The dark and mysterious legend surrounding the creation of Mozart's Requiem has even been featured in popular movies like Amadeus. The legend has ingrained itself into popular memory, and it goes a little something like this. It was a dark and stormy night when the Mozarts received a knock at the door. A masked figure in a black cloak handed Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart an envelope. Inside the envelope was a letter offering Mozart a commission from an anonymous patron to write a death mass or a requiem. Mozart, who had spent all of his money gambling, desperately needed some cash, and despite not knowing the patron, accepted the commission. But as Mozart began to write this requiem, he grew sicker and sicker. In fact, legend has it that Mozart believed he was being poisoned day by day. The legend also says that as Mozart continued to write the requiem, he grew surer and surer in the belief that this requiem would be for his own funeral. Mozart worked furiously trying to finish the requiem before this poison dragged him to the grave, but his efforts were in vain. With his dying breaths, Mozart penned the first few bars of the Lacrimosa, and then died. Was the masked figure a demon sent to drag Mozart to the grave? Was the anonymous patron Mozart's rival Antonio Salieri? Is Mozart's Requiem cursed forevermore? I hate to break it to you, my dear viewers, but this legend, just like so many others, isn't exactly historically accurate. But the truth behind this legend is far more interesting, and it all centers around a woman named Constanze Weber. Constanze Weber grew up in Mannheim, Germany. She was part of a musical family. Her mother was a singer and her father played the bass, and young Constanze was bright and quick. One fine day, a young composer named Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart wandered into town. He met the Weber family when he was looking for work, and it was love at first sight, not with the 15-year-old Constanze, but with Constanze's mother. Constanze's mother, of course, turned down Mozart's advances, and the young composer soon packed up and went off to Vienna, where he would set up shop. But as luck would have it, the Weber family soon also moved to Vienna, and the young Mozart was in need of a house. He stayed with the Weber family, only intending to stay for just 1 week. But when he reacquainted himself with then 19-year-old Constanze, it was love at second sight. The two experienced a turbulent courtship. Neither of their parents wanted them to get married, but they were so passionately in love that they decided to push things forward. Constanze and Wolfgang had a loving, although turbulent, marriage. Wolfgang's gambling debts continued to build up. And although he was a popular and beloved composer at the time, much as he is today, the money he was bringing in just couldn't cut it. So, in 1791, when Mozart was offered a commission not by an anonymous patron, but by Count Franz von Walsegg to write a requiem, he accepted. The patron wasn't anonymous, there was no mysterious masked figure. But one part of the legend is true. Mozart grew very gravely ill as he was writing the Requiem, and he was unable to finish it before he died on December 5th of 1791. Mozart's death at the age of 35 left his widow with an unfinished Requiem and years of gambling debts to pay off, in addition to having to support 2 children. Constanza faced 2 major problems. First, that she was saddled with all of her husband's unpaid gambling debts. And second, that Mozart had left his Requiem unfinished. Although one of his students finished the Requiem in the meantime, if the Count ever found out that Mozart hadn't written all of the Requiem, Constanza wouldn't be able to collect the payday from the piece, putting her family at financial risk. But Constanza already knew what we learned in the last episode of Tempo, that legends are good for business. To keep the Count off the trail of the half-unfinished Requiem, Constanza began to sow legends about the Requiem's creation, inventing the idea that Mozart believed he was writing the Requiem for his own funeral. She was a masterful storyteller, and in addition to spreading legends, she organized memorial concerts where she programmed the Requiem alongside Mozart's established work, to banish any doubt from the Count's mind that Mozart had written the entire Requiem instead of only half of it. And Constanza's plan worked. The Count was none the wiser to the half-Mozart, half-Mozart student Requiem, and the legend has survived to this day. Constanza Mozart is part of the reason why we listen to Mozart, even today. Even though there was no masked figure, no mysterious patron, and no poisoning, the true story behind Mozart's Requiem is just as interesting. If you want to learn more about the Requiem or to hear this piece in person, join the Billings Symphony on February 15th at 7:30 p.m. I'm Siriana Lundgren, and this has been Tempo. I'll see you at the Symphony.